So, the video that you have just seen, can you hear me very well?
No.
No? Now? I will hold it. So the reason why I have prepared this video was to show you the people that I worked with and I lived with before I started to talk about them. I wanted to transmit at least a little bit of emotion and the atmosphere of the place and of those people. And I'm not gonna talk those people. They call themselves Mbendjele, as Jerome has explained at the beginning. And they are hunter-gatherers and they live in Congo Basin. My research was done in Congo Brazzaville. I don't know if everyone can see where is it. So it's in Central Africa, and I have been staying most of my time in Likuala department, which is on the north, on the border of Central African Republic and Democratic Republic of Congo. And the main place where I have stayed was called Djubé, where most of the videos that you have seen, which were made over there. Yeah, so the area of this village, which is called Djubé, is alongside the river Motaba. When you look back at the map, the Motaba River, I don't know if the chain will allow me. Yeah, so basically to get to this village you cannot use road transportation. There is no roads, so the only way you can get there is either through the forest walking or by the river. And this area of the river makes, well, because it is on the river, it had its special atmosphere and also its special way of living. On these pictures you can see that the villages were built on alongside the river. On the second picture you can see the canoes. There was this public transport every week, at least once a week. Here you can see one Mbendjele from one of the villages with we call them within the literature farmers or the village people. So it is common for the hunter-gatherers to live alongside the farming populations, and in Djubé, in my locality, it was with the Mondongo farmers. They speak different languages and they have quite complex relations. It ranges from friendship to hatred. It's very complicated, and I will be repeatedly coming back to this topic as well. So Jerome already has introduced me very well, so I'm not gonna spend much time talking about myself, but you can call me Daša. Now I will go back to some of the moments from the video, because even though it wasn't clear what was the story behind as to what it could appear as if it didn't make any sense, but it made sense, and I will explain why now. So from a Mbendjele perspective, laughter, joking, smiling, enchanting activities are all pleasing to the forest. And these activities are the ideal activities one can engage in, and it is because it has impact on economic production and on well-being of the group. For example, if we laugh, if we dance, and if we are nice to each other now, then we are going to have more luck in finding food. At least the forest will provide for us, or will open for us. On the other hand, if we do not behave nicely to each other, if children cry, and if we are engaging in disputes and fights, it creates so-called noise. But if you look at, for example, Adjambo is contributing to the well-being of the group. He was cleaning he was doing something nice. He was soothing another baby. There were people engaging, beautiful, sexy dances. These are all really good and enchanting and good activities that secure. Can I have a little bit of water, please? I'm sorry. So all such actions are needed for the well-being of the group. Thank you. Sorry. I didn't record that much of children's crying and beating at disputes, but I have tried to just sort of to spend at least a little bit of time in that video to show that it does happen. And the Mbendjele call it noise. So all kinds of actions that are even non-noisy bad actions are noisy. For example, cheating on one's wife is a form of noise. Here are some words how they refer to noise. There is also some French words and Lingala words. Congo is a former French colony, and Lingala is a lingua franca of the area. So that corresponds with what Jerome said before, that Mbendjele-Bayaka, their language is very flexible. But basically they have a word for this disorder or noise that is referred to actions that are actually even silent. But how to deal if violence, if disputes, if all this kind of, if fighting and if complaining is a form of noise, how to resolve a noise, how to deal with a guy who is cheating on his wife? The answer is to ridicule him. And Mbendjele have their own cultural institution of ridicule, which is called mòádʒò. The literal meaning of the word is a state of doing something with the bodies. It means that that someone is using his or her body to do something with it. Jerome Lewis was the first one who who explored mòádʒò, and he has defined it as female public mocking events, where especially women, but a man can also do that. Women reenact someone's inappropriate or wrong or silly actions, and they repeat this performance until they see that that person starts to laugh. So until that there is some sort of transcendence or some kind of realization. Here are some comments of my informants in how they refer to mòádʒò. Mòádʒò afedia mendo mabatu na miso, which means that mòádʒò brings the issues of people on public. So for example, if I would like to try to hide now that I did something really bad outside those doors, then somebody, I don't know, Chris has seen me and he would start to repeat what I did, then that would be mòádʒò, for example. It would make public something what I have tried to hide or I would wish would be hidden. Mòádʒò adia nandunga. Mòádʒò adia nandunga. Mòádʒò is sharp, is with sharpness because it pierces your heart the way the ridicule can sometimes be. It just points right to the weakest point. And the third one, and I will repeat to this issue later in during the presentation, is that is mòádʒò akana mayele mona omosuku. It means that mòádʒò is putting wisdom into the child's head. It's making children more intelligent, and I will later explain why. If, for example, I will move now on to talk more about how mòádʒò unfolds, how it looks in detail, how the performance feels. So it can be planned, but it's very rare. It's mostly spontaneous, and it is usually prompted by the sudden presence of the person in question. So I don't know if somebody would now enter the room that I know that I need to laugh about. I would say to Jerome, I would signal to Jerome that we can start. But the actual performance is an improvisation. It's I've never encountered that people would be thinking of how exactly they would take the topic. So the performers are mostly elderly women and widows. That's what Jerome wrote in his publications. I've also encountered with frequent performances of so-called disadvantaged women, in a way disadvantaged because they were, for instance, without husbands and with a lot of children, or they had some sort of physical problems, they were sick or something like that. But it is not only about women. Men can perform mòádʒò as well. It's only that when men do it, it is more causing later noise and more conflict and violence. It is not as when women do it. But in general, imitating somebody else's behavior is one of the most. It's a basic basis of Mbendjele's sense of humor. If I want to make you laugh, I would imitate you. That's how I would do it. I will show you, for example, here is a short video. It's just a short video of Bemba Onole. I'm not sure if you could see it very well. It's not really good quality, but he's imitating one video clip of a popular Congolese song, how they dance there. So when the performance starts, or for example, if I start to perform and I would want that somebody join me, I would say, Jerome, Beke, or Kabenda Gofe, or give me let's join me, or show your thing, or share your thing, and so on. But also, it is important to know when to finish performing ridicule. It is very important to stop at the moment when the person in question already understands that his or her behavior was silly or wrong or stupid. And in such cases, it is sometimes very loudly said by elderly women who say, like, stop, enough, that's enough, it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to continue. So the role of the audience, I call it audience, but it's really blurred. Anyone can join in, and anyone can stop performing if they want to. But this audience needs to be very loud and active. If there is no response of those people who are watching this performance, it would even cease before it's fulfilling its purpose. So audience is really, really active. And if, for example, my presentation was can't breathe. If this presentation was mòádʒò, then you would have to say, Dasha, you're doing great. Yeah, go on, come on. Say it again. How did you say it? Say it again. Oh, that's so good. Or Jerome would come here and he would say that he can take over my presentation and join in. You know, all this kind of... You can do it, by the way. Yeah. but audience also communicates with the audience. So again, if this is mòádʒò, you would talk loudly to each other, say, Daša is doing so good, this presentation is awesome, and all these kind of comments. So it would seem like very loud and very overlapping. It would not be this, there would not be this barrier of audience and performance. It's not strict. Another thing that accompanies these performances are often almost pantomimic. Like people don't have to say, when they act with their bodies, they don't have to say much. But it is often accompanied by sounds that linguists could refer as ideophones and expletives. But this is, for example, these are examples of sounds from one performance mocking that somebody stole plantains. So you can see, I will show you, there is just one sound I have here that I can play. This ngwe. That's a sound of like a surprise. Yeah, so you can see that there is this kwa, ba, wo, ehe, and so on. But there are many more sounds, such sounds, and they are present also in different forms, not only in Gano, but not only in mòádʒò, but for example in Seng Fables Gano, which you have, by the way, seen in the video with that orange fire there, not the white fire, but the orange one. And these, just a second. These sounds. According to Kilian Hatz, who was working with Baka hunter-gatherers, who are also belonging to Yaka pygmies, Kilian Hatz has mentioned that these sounds are helping everyone present to get that feeling of here and now. It's sort of a transportation and like reliving the story again. So it makes this experience more like realistic, or how can we, on reactions to mòádʒò. Well, the ideal reaction when somebody is laughing at you is to laugh, but not everyone can do that, right? Not everybody is ready to laugh at himself just after being ridiculed, but to show at least some sort of acknowledgement that your actions were wrong or silly are enough. For example, if you're hiding or running away, that's okay. They would stop to laugh at you. But what happens if you react in a so-called inappropriate way? If you're sad or you're crying, or if you're aggressive or upset and stubborn, and even start to complain about the performance, then your suffering is only prolonging, because usually the performance would continue with their performance, and they would usually switch from ridiculing the action that you have done. Now they would instead focus on your emotion. Now they will ridicule your sad face, or they would look at you with an aggressive face or whatever, but they would continue, and you would feel more pain. Yeah. So far I have been talking about what I called normative mòádʒò. Normative mòádʒò is targeting. Sorry, I am drinking tonight. The main goal of the normative mòádʒò is to deliver a moral lesson. Your behavior was bad, and this is what you get. And it is necessary that that person who is in question is present and has to feel these emotions. These are examples of what was the most what was the contact, or what what people were ridiculing through normative mòádʒò. Issues of non-sharing, greediness, selfishness, people who were dishonest, they were cheating, they were lazy, arrogant, boastful, careless, and you can see there is more. Here is one example. Bilo is a name for the farming population from that village that I have mentioned. It is how Mbendjele refer to these farmers. Bilo. Can you read it? Isn't it too small?
Yeah. Best if you read it out, I think.
Are you sure? Okay. Bilo employed several men to hunt an elephant, and in exchange, Mbendjele received palm wine, plantains, cassava, and clothing. Afela, as well as other women, got very drunk. There was lots of singing, joking, and chatting, and at one point, Afela gave her machete to her mother Buma, after Buma's complaints that her machete is too old. Elderly people have their own ways of complaining. She would go on and on about how her machete is not good anymore and what everything she could do with the new one and so on. The next day people woke up hungover, and soon Afela found out that her machete was missing. She furiously entered in each hut and eventually found it hidden under Buma's bed. Afela was very upset and put up a fight with Buma. With no effect, other women tried to explain that she gave machete to Buma yesterday. It took an hour till she finally calmed down. In the afternoon, women began their mòádʒò. In an exaggerated way, they were pulling each other's hair, running one after another, entering in the huts, throwing things around. One of them even pretended to cry. The performance took about 5 minutes when Afela began to laugh loudly. So this exaggeration is also very important and very commonly present within these performances. So you feel like I was ridiculed so many times, and I felt sometimes that it wasn't fair because I didn't feel that it was so bad. I didn't behave that badly, and that it feels really bad, and they enjoy exaggerating it. Okay, before moving on to another type of mòádʒò that I'm going to present, I would like to spend a little bit more time to talk about the Mbendjele female groups, because they are special, and that could be this is a table of some sort of manifestations of their group solidarity. And first is frequent touch, intimacy, and closeness. First time when I got to the field and I have met Mbendjele women for the first time, I was shocked how close next to me they were sitting, and how they were touchy and intimate, and how the first question, with the help of interpreter at the time, the first question was like, "My husband is rubbish. How is yours?" Like that was quite. But after a certain period of time, very quickly actually, I found out that it's actually icebreaker. You just go straight to the point. You talk about your husband right away. You don't need to talk about weather or anything else. So it was, but it was really bonding as well. It's like why to pretend when you meet somebody? Why to pretend something? Just let's be how we are. And that's what's really special about these women. That I felt always great with them, and that I could be myself. Even though they could ridicule if I'm too much myself. Mbendjele women spend most of their time together. They work together. They call it we work a lot. They gather, they hunt small animals, they do lots of fishing, and some of them have also small farms, so they work there as well. But the important thing is that they work together. They do it together also with the children. Men spend time separately from the women, and they are more individualistic. They have their own ways. They are also very calm and quiet. They're boring. I was better off with the women. So the cooperation is not only within the work, but also when it comes to childcare. They breastfeed each other's children. They take care of their beauty. They are very they're sharing the childcare, and they are very actively protecting each other against male violence, and not only physical violence, which is actually very rare, but any sort of violence or dispute. Even what I have encountered with was that even within those disputes, marital, when a husband and wife were having a public fight, dispute, women, even if they thought that the woman was wrong, they would always say that it's not true, that the woman is right, and that's it. They would just always protect each other no matter what. And but also they could find in each other's huts refuge in case of actual real violence. If, for example, husband got very drunk and got aggressive, there was always a sister or mother who she could go with children. They take care of each other's beauty as well. So, for example, while it is now quite common to have mirrors, they would not use them because they don't need them. They have each other to do their hair and to do their makeup. There is lots of cooperation within this. Also, when we, for example, traveled, we walked through the forest and went to visited different communities with my informants, with the women. When we met other women, we were exchanging little personal possessions also. Apart from talking really intimate stuff, we also exchanged bracelets and this kind of stuff. There was this sort of solidarity in between women, even though they didn't know each other. Most of the time, whether it is during actual working, for example, gathering or fishing, they spend time chatting, gossiping, joking, and mocking. And there is one more special thing they engage in, and it is that they are often synchronized in their responses. And I will play you this one. So this was actually I don't know if to call it chorusing or how exactly to call this, but this happened after the group of women persuaded men to go hunt for elephant, and it was like a triumph or something because they didn't have meat for a long time at the time. Yeah, these are some pictures of makeup session. Yeah. So another mòádʒò I call coalitionary, going back to the ridicule topic. It is when within these female groups women engage in ridiculing something, what they share, they think about something or somebody. For example, we as a group, we are all ragists, or how do you call it?
Say it again.
If we belong, we are all rag, right?
Yeah. Oh, right.
And ragists. Rags. Raggers.
Yeah.
So us as raggers could perform a performance, a mòádʒò, about those non-ruggers and what we think about them. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I don't know if you have noticed, coalitionary sort of mòádʒò performance happened in the video. So on the left, that was. But which do you think? Which? Oh yeah. Which one do you think was a mòádʒò and which one was a real performance? I don't know. I mean, one was a parody, one was mocking, ridiculed version, and another one was serious. And which one was which? What do you think?
One of the two male groups mocking a male-female.
Yes, exactly. So this was example of coalitionary mòádʒò, but this was a coalition of men. Yeah.
And they're making fun of women.
They are making fun of what they think about this sexy, luring, dancing game. So it's not about. They are not ridiculing women, or they are not ridiculing somebody in particular, but they were ridiculing the way how people dance, and also you could see the voices. Yeah, I can play it again later. And this is another example. So these are below the farmer women, and they came to visit me. I was just going outside to get some supplies, and they came to visit me and tell me what all kinds of gifts I should buy them. And they were in a very good mood. They were just these two women, and they were dancing, and their dancing style was just to show me their buttocks and I don't know. And as soon as they left, women began to imitate them. I don't know if you can see the face there. Well, basically it was so loud and so funny. That's what they were. Okay, and the last type of mòádʒò that I'm going to talk about, I call gender competition, which is about mocking male sexuality, which is because among Mbendjele women, men are really so weak when it comes to controlling their sexual desire, and yeah, and they believe that that is one of the sources. That they can easily use it for themselves and for their children, and it is very often targeting these highly. I don't know. I know it only in my language to say that. I'm not gonna say it, but it's these sort of performances often happen during female ritual performances, or after or before them, and it is at those times it is really scary for the men to be around. So they often know that this is how actually they said it. I'm very afraid. I'm going away. Like, this is too wild, and it also these sort of performances also happen as a response to an insult. So, for example, if a man would cheat on his wife, and she got enraged, and she's actually quite aggressive and upset, women try to soothe her in a way that they engage in this ridiculed in this mòádʒò performance that is still using, for example, nudity, and they're kind of vulgar in a way that they imitate the the sexual intercourse, and that they swear a lot and so on. Afela is laughing about how she refused sex to her husband because of his bad smell and laziness in providing meat. But now he smells nicer, he returned with meat, and she will cook his penis tonight also because her vagina is hungry. So this is one of the examples of how female conversations in the group can look like. And this is like a perfect scenario for mòádʒò to unfold, and you can imagine how they can imitate his dirty penis and so on. One thing on the one hand, women would claim that they don't that the men are just too easy, but at the same time they would spend so much time in making themselves beautiful, and they would deny that they would like to be beautiful for their men, but they engage in lots of activities to accomplish that. For example, this woman has, if you can see on her arm, there are kind of shiny circles on her skin. I don't know if it's visible. So it's called pata pata. Pata means coin. So they actually use a lighter to burn their skin to appear more beautiful. This is actually not from the village that I have stayed in, but this is the village I have visited, and they said that that's really beautiful and sexy. And on the another picture there is that this girl was using a lot of oil to make her skin look shiny. Shininess is very important for feeling of sexiness and fatness, which is all sexy. And women are also using all kinds of pigments to make themselves beautiful. Here are just a few examples. Another thing is that they make their babies looking beautiful because they want their husbands to see them as more beautiful and provide more. There is some eyebrow makeup. Apart from mòádʒò, there are other techniques for women to get what they want from men, and it is because they are so strongly together that they can really get what they want, and they go on strike. They refuse. They are capable of refusing sex together as a. Well, at least they talk to each other that they refuse sex. I didn't see or verify that, but or they refuse to work. That happened many times actually. That we were in the forest camp, and women were very upset that they are all the time working so much, and men are just laying around, and they do not provide. So they decided to stay in, and men were asking like. We are not going to eat today. So now, did you hunt anything or what? So they stayed all together in the camp, and they did wait till the men very silently left and do some hunting, and it works. And if some men are really bad, it is necessary to poison them, but just enough, so that they would not die, they would not pass away, but that they would feel really bad. And for example, there is medicine to make a husband's heart pound so quickly that he will feel so dizzy because of love and secure his return. Also when they want to know the truth, why they don't want to go hunt, there is a plan for that. You cook it into the meal, and he will tell the truth. Maybe he is cheating on you or something. And there is this verbal persuasion, and that's very open. They say meat can resolve conflicts in general, not only with women but with everybody. So they should go and hunt, and that many times children are brought up that they would get sick and hungry, that they need that meat as well. Just a second, please. There are also some other techniques and this is what I would like to just return to this beauty issue. It is that even though there are recognized differences in the female beauty, that there are people who are perceived as more beautiful and than others, or more attractive than others, it is possible to change it. And it is possible to change it, for example, through drinking certain teas, or you can apply a perfume and you will feel beautiful. You can feel beautiful if you have scars on your face. You can feel the same beautiful if you have, I know, if you're missing limb. Doesn't matter. So there was this body positivity feeling that was so strong among the women that was also very inspiring, and it was very hard to go back here. Yeah. There are also children have also their mòádʒò. Children have also their way of ridiculing. Either each other or adults, doesn't matter, they do and can ridicule. And this is an example. For example, there was a group of young girls who imitated one elderly man. This man was known for his passion for alcohol. The girls were imitating his clumsy walking and how he would fall on the ground, curse out loud, and swing a machete around as if trying to hit an imaginary person in front of him. To begin with, women were laughing as they watched this performance, and after a while even this old man was laughing. Nevertheless, the girls did not stop their mòádʒò at this point, which annoyed the old man as well as the women. The girls stopped only after being scolded by one of the most senior women in the group, who was looking for a stick on the ground to throw at them. The girls carried on laughing and, pretending to be very afraid, ran into the forest. Yeah, so this is quite typical. So girls are laughing at some older elderly drunkard, and they don't know when to stop. And other women make them feel when it's enough. And this is within this interaction you can see how these not only elderly women but any adults or anybody else can engage in teaching others how to perform mòádʒò well, because it is not funny to laugh at somebody who already laughed at himself, you know. And so there is also mòádʒò among children. They mock each other almost all the time, but the content of the ridicule of what they're mocking about is often harsher than in the case of adults. For example, they would laugh about each other's differences, which is contrary to the adults' perspective, which is actually respecting and highlighting the importance of being different and to be original in a way. If somebody, I know that there was, for example, one boy who appeared to other kids as darker, so they called him black. Mm-hmm. You know, all these kind of physical differences or differences in their, for example, performances, in their hunting and gathering skills. So adults do not mock each other's skills. Adults do not focus on laughing at somebody's way of doing things neither. It is about creating noise and creating problems for others, and it is about violence. It is about being improper in a way that it can have a negative impact on the well-being of others, but also on the health of others. And adults mock children as well. And usually it is about these issues they mock when they are dependent and they should be already try to be independent. Let me give you an example. So Bemba was one of those children who suffered from the weaning period. Interactions of him and his mother were a common discussion in women's gossip. Mother felt pressure from the women to help Bemba's becoming more independent. Often when Bemba played in children group, other children would mock him. He would return back to his mother, sit close to her and reach for her breast and get a little bit of milk. Breastfeeding in general is used by Mbendjele mothers to soothe the child. This time, however, the mother refused and she was getting ready for a gathering trip. She stood up and walked across the camp to one of the women who were preparing a meal. She would sit close to one of them and reach for her breast. The women and children who were present began to laugh hilariously. Then the mother would go to another woman and repeat the same. Bemba would begin to cry. At that moment, the other women began to mimic him crying with exaggeratedly sad facial expressions. Children were following this cluster of performances with laughter as well, while pointing at Bemba. The boy left a little further from the camp, where he sat and continued on crying. Nor children nor adults came to soothe his cry. So there are several issues here. So within mòádʒò, that is addressed from adults to children, adults often face the child, look in the child's eyes. They can even point. It was explained to me that it is to make sure that the child understands that the performance is about him or her, and it is also it has also pedagogical function in a way that it teaches the child very directly and quite cruelly the reality of what is expected from him or her. So this was an example of weaning. That was promoting weaning. This was actually quite a special case. Mbendjele are very, weaning usually occurs on demand of the child, but this boy had already like 6 or 7 years old, and it was too much. Even other children were mocking that this was too much, like really. And another example is when somebody is not sharing. For example, if you see these examples, oh my goodness. If somebody fails to share something what is demanded from him or her, then others can engage in a mòádʒò that is mocking this. I have here one example, but that one is not so nice, not so funny. I can tell you another one, which is about how women taught a girl, or it was a boy, about how to deal with the outsiders. Just a second, please. Okay, I have one example where I will just read it and then we talk. One woman came over to visit Buma. Buma was my key informant, an elderly woman. She was seeking help to treat her issues with potential ecology. I would say problem with her pregnancy. We were camping in the forest. Men were away working, so there were only women and children in the camp. This woman came with her child, a girl of about 3 years old. After a brief exchange of news, Buma suggested her to speak between the 4 eyes. And so they left to the forest, but the woman left the baby with us. As soon as the mother left, the baby started to cry. Firstly, women tried to soothe her by singing at her loudly, but it didn't help. I wanted to be of some help, so I approached the baby and mimicked what other women did. But the baby was obviously scared of me and cried even more loudly. And so Mosangi started a mòádʒò. Mosangi was one of the women present there. She came closer to me and suggested to soothe her as if she was a baby. She lay in my lap and I began to tap her arm rhythmically while trying to yodel as the Mbendjele women do. Mosangi was crying and screaming and repeatedly looked at the baby. She stopped crying and just stared with a surprised look. Soon, Buma and the mother returned. Mosangi did not hesitate and recounted on what had happened. The mother found it extremely funny and started another mòádʒò herself. And so she came to me, lay in my lap and cried. All women were laughing wildly and switched their looks from the mother to the baby and back. When the mother had finished her performance, she went to the baby and told her, "Mbendjele-Bayaka bien. White people, they are good." She pointed at me, grabbed the baby's hand with the palm upwards as if begging, and further explained, "Ofe fofanani, kabame mungwa." You talk to her, "Give me salt." So this is one of the examples of how Mbendjele women teach about how to deal with the outsiders, and it also shows what they think about those outsiders as well. Yeah.